Fair bit of Aboriginal stuff in the news. Anything to distract from certain other things, so they've got to press this relentlessly. The Voice, parliamentary voice, not something I'm really that interested in. I don't think that would be much bit more sort of bureaucracy on top of what already exists. And yeah, just a bit of lipstick on a pig, as some of the indigenous sort of activists sort of described it. Fair enough. Going to talk about the wider issues though of Aboriginal stuff. It's the first point is that it's mostly about white fella politics. It's mainly about the ALP and the Liberals, the LNP and the Greens, sort of playing to their own base. It's just nobody's really that interested in Aboriginal stuff. None of them want to live amongst the blackfellas. Been a massive uptick in the number of people claiming to be Aboriginal because it's much more lax these days. Not a lot of full bloods left. Probably 50 or 60,000. It was $40,000. $40,000 full bloods, I think, around 1993, early 90s. Maybe that's 50,000, 60,000. They're claiming over 700,000, and it's a little bit lax, I think. I feel it's a little bit a bit of a gravy train because there's certain things that you can claim, free school textbooks and the like. That bureaucracy was set up around the start of the Whitlam era. They started pushing this. 72 to 75, and then Labor, 83 to 96, again, a bit divisive. Not the sort of policies that would promote sort of cross-racial sort of solidarity for, workers and the underclass of various races. Seems like something designed to create a bit of dissension, sow division and chaos, which would be the bourgeois liberal, and I mean classical liberal and bourgeois progressive wings of the establishment and their hangers-on to create foment division between blacks and semi-blacks, half-castes and the like, and the white folk. There hasn't really been a genuine attempt at sort of cross-racial solidarity because it's in the interests of various parties, the ALP, the social fascist, social democracy types, the Liberal Party, the right-wing sort of, what would you call them, sort of tabloid, sort of Daily Telegraph sort of readers, if anyone still reads that, the Australian Murdoch Press, dog brains, sort of white Australian suburbanites mainly, and then there's sort of a faction to the left of the ALP types, sort of the Green Party, and to the left of them, you say the Antifa types, anarchist sort of socialists. Most of them, though, interested in creating more drama, because the Aborigines, we won't go in. I was going to give a little digression on Australian history, but as it stands today, the Aborigines aren't a popular minority for the same reason as blacks in the United States, because of the high crime. No one really wants to live amongst Aborigines, frankly, and that's just a fact because they moved them all out of Redfern when all the bouge, progressive sort of green voting types moved in there, gentrified the place, and the Aborigines were moved back out to Burke, Wilcannia, places like that, even Dubbo, which is a bit closer. I mentioned that a few times, and that's how it is. And it's mainly about shoring up your base. The ALP want to be seen as a friend of the black man and probably do as little as possible while maintaining that sort of their base, because they've largely abandoned the base on economic terms of Thatcherite economics that became part of the Labor Party policy platform from 83 onwards. So they don't really want to do too much to upset the apple cart. They want to protect a few seats in the Northern Territory and the like, but mainly to shore up their base and look good. They want to look good. They want a virtue signal. The LNP, the right-wing types, want to stir up their base too, and so both of them are invested in Aborigines committing a lot of crimes, because the LNP types can create can play the race card. They want to be the racist sort of people, and the ALP types want to play the anti-racist, and that applies to the Greens and to the Antifa types. They want to feel better than the bad people who complain about Aboriginal crime. You're seeing that played out again in Alice Springs, and so it's just sort of a bit of a master-slave dialectic going on here. They need each other. They need Antifa, Greenie types need and a few of the left of the ALP. They need lots of crime from Aborigines, because when the sort of Hansonite, sort of suburban bogan types complain about it, they can scream at racists. So they need to feel better. They need an enemy to point the finger at. So they're both sides are really invested in Aborigines continuing to commit lots of crimes, and that's not a good situation. It benefits certain groups politically, but it's not good for the blacks, is it? And that's why I just don't take any of these people seriously. It's all self-interest from mostly white people. Like a Tom Kanuki, they want to play down the Aboriginal crime because, and scream racist too. But none of these people want to live amongst the black fellas, and that's sort of for obvious reasons. So they need the chaos. They don't want Aborigines to have a better life, I don't think. And that's sort of a brutal sort of thing to say. If they're able to sort of develop themselves, use some of those mining royalties. I don't know about tribal living. I don't know whether that's sustainable. It's, I mean, that would be the ideal, but how does it work? Most people identified as Aboriginal are assimilated, and most have a fair bit of white blood in them, mixed race. And that's just reality. The Antifa people don't want to discuss that at all. They don't want. That's a subject that's off limit. But the black fellas, if you actually talk to some of them, they actually to discuss that themselves. And a lot of them are not real happy about people with a little bit of touch of the tar brush, as they say. Sort of jumping on the bandwagon and getting on the gravy train for the freebies that the bureaucracy likes to hand out. It's been going on for a long time. Sort of a bureaucratic aristocracy, like the Labor aristocracy, amongst certain black folk, Aborigines. So it's not a really good situation at all. it's mostly about the white fella politics. Asians, I don't think, are very interested. Chinese people don't like Aborigines. I don't think they care much. The Koreans and the Chinese that I live amongst mostly, I don't think they care much for Aboriginal stuff. And probably don't like Aborigines that much. The Indians, I don't know. I don't think they're particularly interested in either. It's mostly a white fella thing. Sort of the white bogans and the elite sort of Liberal Party North Shore types against the black fellas, and more your inner city progressive sort of types, Green voters, Labor left, Antifa, the anarchist types, booge progressives as well on the other side, and it's a fight between them, and black fellas don't really get much of a say. No, Tom Tanuki, I think, suggested we listen to certain people, Indigenous activists, and that was actually a fairly sensible point on his part. I think he sort of does care. He wants to play down the Aboriginal crime a bit, but he does give the show that he's actually interested. But a lot of these people aren't, and it's just a political football for the white fellas to kick around in Canberra and stir up their base and get some advantage out of that. Not a very good situation at all. And we need sort of people to stand up to do some practical stuff for the blackfellas and do some decent land reforms and just genuinely sensible and serious politics. I don't think shutting the youth detention centres is going to happen because no one's, the Antifa guys are living on another planet with that sort of thing. Because some of these youths, they're not that old, but they do some pretty bad things. To see people do some terrible crimes. They're 10 or 11, and can't be just allowed to walk free. I don't think. I'm not self-righteous about that, but that's sort of the reality. So if we get people to get serious and do some practical and some symbolic sort of things to help the process along the way, that might be good. But as it is, we've got a political football match in Canberra for the white folk to get a bit racist or virtue signal, and it's not very good at all. It's not good at all. It doesn't help the blackfellas one iota.